Hello! How are you doing today? This is from my Aunt Audrey. This was her favorite. We used to say Kitchener made this song just for Audrey. Audrey,
every time you wake, darling, you put me in trouble. You torture me.
I hope you have your glass of rum punch, because I have my rum punch tonight. Sugar boom, sugar boom, boom. Welcome all, welcome. Grab a glass and dance to the soca. Hey! Hey! You have to raise a glass for Auntie Audrey. All right, everybody, take a little dance. Sugar boom, boom. Okay, all you listeners out there, grab your glass. I have my rum punch. Come on now. Boom, boom, oh, drink. I hope you're dancing in your seats. Come on now, or stand up and dance. Dance with your hand. Okay, Colette, dance with your hand. Come on. Chicka-boom, chicka-boom, boom. Look how the shoulders, come on! I already had tea so far, Miss KWY Bonify. Oh! I should bring out some of this. All right, let me see. Let's play another one. While we are waiting, hope everyone's fine out there. Are we ready for our book reading this evening?
We're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready.
All right, come on everybody. Dance in your seats. Or stand up and dance. Shake your hands. Are you ready?
Look how the sun now raising up, and the crowd now waking up. The atmosphere have vibes, and nothing can break it up. The girl them a wine non-stop. We are the drinks them in a my cup.
Come on, everybody. Come on, come on.
All night, 24 parties we hit in a row.
All right, come on, we ready.
Before we ever on the road, the girl them a release the load. So let me see your hands up, so everybody know, put your hands up, so
Hands up, hands
ready
up.
for the road, let your friend them know.
We ready for the road. Ah, come on, everybody, come on.
We ready for the road. So we ready.
We ready. We're ready. We're ready. Are you ready?
We're ready. 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 Yeah, we're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. The girl them a wait all week. Figure up on the road like free. The music full of applause with thousands of chipping feet. Everywhere you look is just food, and everybody.
Come on, enjoy the suka. We ready.
All night.
All night.
Everyone with painted body.
Don't forget to get your glass.
Nobody want to dance by themselves.
Raise a glass. Everybody.
Well, let me see your hands up, so.
Whee! Hands up in the air.
If you're ready for the road, let your friend them know.
We ready for the road.
We're ready for the road.
Road.
So we're ready. We're ready.
Shake out those shoulders. Stretch.
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready. We're ready.
Shake the shoulders out and
We're
stretch.
ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready.
Hands in the air.
We're ready. We're ready.
How we doing tonight?
Look how the sun now raising up, and the crowd now
Come on, let's
waking
have a little
The
fun.
atmosphere have vibes, and nothing can break it up, and nothing can break it up, and nothing can break it up.
Shake out those shoulders. It's the end of the week. It's Friday night. Suka time.
We're ready
For the road. Come on. Hi, Christine, joining the fun now. Everybody must be dancing, okay? We ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready.
It's Friday
Yeah,
night.
we're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready.
Lift your glass in the air. Juice, rum. I have my rum punch. Whatever you have. It's Friday night. Whee! We ready? Hey, Brentos! All right. Good to see you. We're ready. All right. Well, that was a nice warm-up. Hope everybody had some fun. So thank you very much for showing up tonight to my reading of Derive. And what I'd like to do is dedicate this reading to my aunt who recently passed away, Auntie Audrey. She was a fun-loving person. We miss her very much. And we have to play one of her favorite songs. When this one came out, we always used to say it was made for her. So, Sugar Bum Bum by Lord Kitchener. Let's play Sugar Bum Bum just for Audrey, and you have to take a little dance for Auntie Audrey and take a sip of something for Auntie Audrey. Juice, rum, whatever you have. Okay? Everybody, let's take a little trip for Auntie Audrey. This was her song. We know Auntie Audrey is dancing up there in heaven somewhere. And this book, Dreevay, it's all about her life. She would come home to Trinidad for carnival. She was always coming back home. So, lots of the stories are just about Audrey. Come on, do a little dance wherever you are. In your chair or stand up and move around.
You make me warm, you make me feel
Like 10 feet tall. Sugar boom, sugar boom boom. Sugar boom, sugar boom boom. Sugar boom, sugar boom boom. All right, remember we said book reading, soca and rum punch. So make sure you enjoy the soca. You have a little something to drink. It could be rum punch, juice, whatever you like. And you enjoy the music too. All right, so we're going to start the book reading. What I'll do, thank you everybody for coming out this evening. What I'll do first is tell you a little bit about my publications and then we'll start on the reading. So I'll go through some of my publications. The first one, Escape from Ireland, this was the first book that I've written about my travels. I'd lived in Ireland for 7 years and I moved to Toronto 2011. Couldn't get Ireland out of my head, so I had to write a book about all the adventures there. Before moving to Ireland, I'd lived in California. And this book, Red Car, Long Legs, talks about all the adventures of living in California and working in the fresh produce industry and traveling to Central America and South America constantly to audit farms and pack houses. So lots of adventures in Red Car, Long Legs. Another publication, Goodbye Frying Pan, Hello Fire, that talks about moving to Toronto. I came here in 2011 from Ireland and it was culture shock. So this book talks about surviving in a completely new country. No friends to start with, you know, it was just starting from scratch. Goodbye Frying Pan, Hello Fire. Hi Magda, good to see you. And another publication, this talks about my mother's journey with Alzheimer's disease. Where are my car keys? She always used to love to drive her car, and then as she became forgetful, she would lose her car keys, but she loved driving. So writing this book helped me to deal with the loss of my mother. So it was cathartic. It was a form of healing to write this book. And I did the illustrated children's book, Is That My Granny?, to help children understand the signs and symptoms of Alzheimer's disease. And last Friday, I was so fortunate to have a wonderful little reader from Trinidad and Tobago who read my book on Instagram Live. She was very good, and I have the video on my Jennylynd James Writer Facebook page. So you go and look at this little girl, only 4 years old, and she was able to read the whole book, a child prodigy. She was brilliant. So please take a look at that video when you have some time. Also, I had another announcement to make. Some of you might know I'm an artist as well as a writer. So if you look at the back, you'll see one of my pieces of art there. And last night on the Trinidad and Tobago TV station, TTT, Trinidad and Tobago television, two of my art pieces were featured as they went through the Art Society of Trinidad and Tobago Art Gallery. My paintings were the first two that were visible in that video. So I've also put that on my Art by Jennylynd James Facebook page, so you can take a look at that video when you have time. So that was really exciting. So tonight I am going to read from Dreevay, and this is a collection of stories talking about different occasions when I went back to Trinidad. So as a collection of stories, you know, it's happy times, sad times, going back home. I'll just read the preface. As a Trinidadian expat, I have found myself living and working in cities around the world. The most heartwarming experience in every country was to encounter another Trinidadian expat on a similar adventure of assimilating into a foreign culture. Every time I return home, I find a country quite different from the one I left behind. Friends have moved away, and those who've never relocated are busy with their lives. It is not easy being a Trini expat who has an idealized and sometimes unrealistic vision of Trinidad, one big carnival party, while ordinary people carry on with their daily lives. That's what my brother used to say, you know, every day is not carnival, right, Brent? But, you know, when you go back home for a few days, you think, oh, everybody should stop because you come for carnival. But no, that's not reality. Having strong ties with immediate family is one main reason to return home. When elderly parents become ill or incapacitated, the guilt of leaving them behind creates a stronger urge to return. Dreevay is a collection of stories describing some of my adventures as I travel from country to country, including return visits to Trinidad and Tobago, my country of birth. The memoir details a roller coaster of emotions during a visit to Africa, my ancestral home, as well as hurdles in entering and leaving North America after a trip to Trinidad. The book provides some nostalgia for Trinidadian expats living in foreign lands and opens a whole new world to readers who've never traveled to this multicultural country. Residents of Trinidad and Tobago would find the expats' nostalgia and attachment to the good old days amusing. But this is all we have to keep us grounded. Expressions and sayings of Trinidad and Tobago are highlighted in italics throughout the book. And at the end of the book, I have a glossary. So a little dictionary explaining, you know, bajon and bake and oil and all the nice words, bazodi, behind God back, broke a foot, bunya twice, callaloo bush, baji, and all those good things I have at the back of the book to explain to readers who don't know anything about the Trinidad parlance. You know, they can see the English version of it at the back. All right, how is everybody doing tonight? Are you good? Let's see in the comment section. Tell me what's happening. Who has a drink in their hand? In the hand. Let me see in the comment section. Okay, Magda's having wine. Colette, what are you having? Let's see. All I'm seeing is Magda with wine. KWI Bonafide, what are you having? Let's see some comments there in the comment section. What is everybody having? I'm going to put on a little more soca. Let's see what we have here. Who likes Alison Hines? Oh, Colette has rum and coke. Okay. Roll it, girl. Oh, Angostura 1824 straight. You go, girl. Roll Oh, Brent has scotch and soda. All right. All right. Shake the arm, shake the shoulder. Roll, roll it, gal, roll it, gal. Control it, gal, roll it, gal, roll. I had to take off the glasses for this. Control it, gal, roll it, gal.
When them start to talk and chat, gal, let them run them out. You believe in Father God, gal, He will run them out. Strength and wisdom you must have, gal. Try to seek them out. Liberate yourself and live, gal.
All right.
Still alive. If you feel me,
Okay. Thank you. So that was Alison Hines from Barbados. Now I'm going to read a little passage from one occasion when we went back home for Christmas. And it was to celebrate my mom's 75th birthday, and I had also taken the Irish boyfriend to visit. So we had quite a few jokes around that time. So I'll just read a small passage. Colette and I whipped up the Christmas menu and thought back fondly on the old Christmas days. The anticipation of Christmas in the old days was infectious. Weeks of cleaning and tumbling up the house, last-minute painting, polishing floors, and shining furniture were part of the Christmas frenzy. Don't walk on the floors, are just polished. Stay out of the living room. We can't put up a Christmas tree in a dirty house. The area is for when company comes. Many beautiful things were designated to the mysterious company that was supposed to come over. This was no fun for a small child. The cleaning frenzy was followed by a cooking frenzy, and this is all that happened, when we were little. I was not sure when gift buying fit in. Living in North America and other places, the focus seemed to be more on shopping and buying gifts. But it wasn't like that back home. Boiling of salty preserved European ham was a very important activity back in the day. The ham came tarred and dried from somewhere far away. Apples and grapes were considered exotic fruits, and we only got them once a year from Ibrahim's wholesalers in Port of Spain. Anybody remembers Ibrahim's? Hi, Sharianne. Hi, Cheryl. Anybody remembers Ibrahim's? They were the only ones when we were little selling apples and grapes, and you had to go in Port of Spain to get apples and grapes. They were exotic. Black fruit cake was baked a week in advance, and my mother prepared fresh bread and sweet bread on Christmas Eve. A fresh pork leg and the ham leg were dressed with cloves and pineapple slices, and they went into the oven on Christmas Eve night. The Christmas turkey also went into the oven after returning from midnight mass, so it could bake for hours while we slept. So the year we returned, we wondered if we would go to midnight mass at St. Michael's and All Angels Anglican Church on the Boulevard. Our childhood tradition on Christmas Eve was to go to midnight mass, when we would invariably nod through the lengthy service. Then we'd visit our friends, the O'Neills, on Sophia Drive to get a taste of their pastels, ham, and black fruit cake. It was as if nobody slept on Christmas Eve in anticipation of the big day to follow. As children, we kept one eye open, hoping to get a glimpse of Santa Claus, who would mysteriously leave gifts on our bed. Our father, Kenneth, who usually partied with his buddies, singing from house to house, would bring friends over to our house in the wee hours of the morning, like around 2 a.m. They would all be inebriated by that time and pretend to sing parang songs. We would bring out food and drinks for the group, as was our tradition, and hope that they would move on to another house swiftly so we could get some sleep. I remembered my mother warning Daddy to come home after the next house and don't go any further with the boys. He was drunk enough, and she wanted him home and in good shape for the big Christmas breakfast and the even bigger Christmas lunch later in the day. Yes, Colette, I just mentioned the Parang side. They're singing Parang, Mariado Raba, Mario Doro. Yes, we didn't know what they were singing because they didn't know what they were singing either. But alas, as adults returning from foreign countries, we had no such feelings of anticipation and excitement for Christmas. We were not waiting for Santa Claus, and a fairly clean house was good enough. Christmas Eve, we opted out of the midnight mass and relaxed, just trying to recover from jet lag. Christmas morning, however, we were awoken by the radio playing loud celebration music that year. Neighbor, get up, it's Christmas morning. Neighbor, it's punch a creme we drinking. Something soit, something soit, something soit to pass through we moit. Mommy was awake and the radio was making a racket. We had no choice but to wake up. She always woke early and turned on the radio. It was time to exchange gifts before our sumptuous breakfast. Kadir, being the youngest, received more toys than he could ever imagine, and he was as happy as could be. Tiffany also received toys and clothes. She was in between childhood and teenage years in 2007, which was a strange time for gift giving. Christmas Day was quiet. Since childhood, it almost seemed to be an anticlimax to the weeks and weeks of preparation. If only we could get the feeling and anticipation to last throughout the day. We were already calling friends and planning ahead to parties for the season. In the evening, we went over to the hack shows on the boulevard to taste their Christmas ham and cake. Then we went to the Pear's house for some Christmas cheer. Christmas Day was open house for many families in the neighborhood in Diamond Vale. The Adams family on Manning Street in Nigomartin usually had a family gathering on Boxing Day, complete with parang music, food and drinks. This was their family tradition for decades, and whenever we happened to be in Trinidad on holidays, we jumped into their family reunion as if we had never left. The good thing about these gatherings was that they were for all ages. So my mother Gloria got dressed up for the occasion. Colette, Tiffany, Kadir and I, we were all ready. And we went to the Adams house. We danced, sang, ate and drank. And when the parent group came, we danced again. It was the same group that would visit our house every year when we threw a party for my mother's birthday on December 29th. Los Paranderos en Coches, they used to call themselves. So that's a little bit about a Christmas celebration. One year when we went, 2007. Now, that time too, I had been living in Ireland and traveled to Trinidad for Christmas. And I invited the Irish boyfriend who came the day after Boxing Day. Feeling overstuffed from Christmas menu and leftovers, we were looking forward to feasting on the Asian-style menu for my mother's upcoming birthday party. It was her 75th birthday. We had 2 days to relax the stomachs before the next feast. After eating so much food, I thought I needed a purge. Anybody remembers purge? Put in the comment box how many people had a purge after Christmas feasting. Let me see. Who doesn't know what a purge is? Let's see the comments there in the box. I'm waiting for a few comments. Does anybody still get a purge after overeating? Anybody? Well, I'm not seeing any comments yet. All right, I will carry on. When my friend Sean managed to get a flight to Scarborough, Tobago from London, he then had to fly to Port of Spain on a one-way ticket. The plan was for us to return to Tobago after New Year's to visit the sites before he returned to Ireland. I imagine he'd be completely exhausted from over 10 hours of commuting when he finally arrived to Trinidad. I thought he would go straight to bed. My mother's house had no air conditioning at that time, and mosquitoes love fresh blood, so he was in for a treat, a baptism of fire, as we say. When Colette and I met him at the airport, Sean was bouncing off the walls and full of energy. "I want to go to the beach," he said, as soon as he entered the car. "And happy Christmas to you too," I thought. "It's too late, Sean. Nobody's in the water at this time. It's 8 o'clock. In any case, the best beaches are on the north coast and too far from here." No way, no way. I've come all this way from Ireland and I have to get a bath in the sea. It's too hot. I need to swim." Sean was an avid swimmer. He lived near the coast and he would swim every single day if he had the opportunity. There was no stopping him. So we decided to take him to Deans Bay in Carenage for a quick dip. This was against our better judgment, since we believed that people in our circles would never go to Deans Bay, and certainly not at night. It could have been dangerous. All the locals we had spoken to warned us repeatedly about staying away from lonely places at night because it was so dangerous. We drove along the narrow road leading down to Carenage, passing through Point Cumana. Sean observed all the little shops with the loud music emanating from bars with delight. "Oh, we should stop there. Oh, let's stop over there. Let's go there." I said, "We don't go to rum shops. Are you crazy?" He said, "Well, I want to go to a rum shop." It was the dream of every tourist to boldly go where we had not gone before. As we turned the bend approaching Deans Bay, we looked at the dark and deserted area. There was not much of a beach, just a narrow strip of sand with small rocks and pebbles. A handful of brave souls were in the water and 3 cars were parked nearby. A few people were relaxing and drinking near their cars. "You see, people are liming near the water, Sean, but they're not in the water," said Colette. "Liming? What's liming?" he asked. "That's when you sit and chat with friends. Sometimes people lime and hang out, eating food and having a few drinks." "Well, I'm going in the water," he said. "It's way too hot. I'm going." Sean was experienced at stripping off all his clothes back in Ireland when he was at his local beach. I had to convince him to go and find a changing room before he started undressing in front of the people in front of Deans Bay. Luckily, there was an old wooden building with changing rooms right next to a tiny police station at Deans Bay, and they were still open. He ran in and swiftly returned wearing his new tropical swimming trunks. He had prepared well for his Caribbean vacation. Woohoo! That water's nice. It's fabulous. So as he had a swim and emerged from the dark shore, Colette and I were looking around nervously from left to right for possible bandits who might try to rob us of our little old car and the small change in our handbags. On the way to Gloria's home, we passed near Don's roti shop and a bar on St. Lucian Road, and we decided to get roti. So I popped in to place the order and Colette stayed in the car. Sean, of course, wanted to come and see what the shop looked like. The building was a simple concrete structure. Trinidadians usually stared long and hard at each other. It was normal to examine a person from head to toe and back up before removing the gaze. I tried to sink into the ground as Sean and I walked in because everybody stared at us. It was not possible to hide in such a small shop. I placed an order for our rotis and we planned to take them home to eat. But he said, oh, no, we're eating right here. No, Sean, this is a rum shop. People in our circles would never sit in a rum shop to drink. We go to fancy pubs, I said. Oh, you're so snobbish. I see nothing wrong with the place. I want a beer. So he ordered his drink, and just as he got the drink, we saw a man keel over on the floor with a Heineken in his hand. Sean said, yes, I feel like I'm in Ireland. So, just a few jokes of bringing a foreigner back to Trinidad with us. It was so much fun to see how foreign friends reacted to Trinidadian customs and places and all that. Always fun. But they always wanted to go to the most dangerous places where regular Trinis didn't go. How many of you experienced that? Just put it in the chat box. Let's see. Have you brought home some foreign friends who wanted to go to rum shops and places like that? Put it in the chat box. Let's see.
Here comes the money.
Baby got back. You better start backing it up right now.
Yes, we don't go to rum shops. No, we don't. We go to nice pubs. I remember. How many remember this song? Bubble Nuts. Okay, get your glass out. We're taking a little music break. Marshall Montano, Bubble Nuts. Hi, Andrea. Good to see you. Come on, everybody. Let's take a little dance. It's Friday night. Get your glass in the air.
When she walks, she thinks and talking. All the man in tongue and stalking. Watching now, she bubble up jumping. Rolling like a big old dumpling. I got to zoom in on my.
Hey, darling. Good to see you. All right, everybody, take a little dance. Roll that bubble up. Oh yes, Andrea, you're right. You know, visitors are usually fearless because they don't know where danger lurks. Find out. How many remember this song? All right, take a dance. Boy, boy. Roll that bubble nut. Shake that bubble nut. Roll that bubble nut. Are we having fun? Come on, everybody. Hands in the air. Hands in the air. Everybody. Shake out those shoulders. Come on. Hear the words? Tattoo on the left cheek versatile. Roll that bubble nut. Shake that bubble nut. Break that bubble nut. We played mass. We played mass. I'm going to read about going back to Trinidad for Carnival. That was one of my favorite times to go back home. I love my Carnival, and no matter where I lived, I would always find a way to go home for Carnival. So I'm going to read a few excerpts from Dreevay about coming home for Carnival, and this was 2006. One of the popular songs that year was Turn It Up, Turn It Up. Band of the Year. I'll play that after I read this passage. I could feel Carnival in my bones as my daughter Tiffany and I boarded the plane in Heathrow, London, en route to Port of Spain, Trinidad. We had been living in Ireland for many years, and our annual ritual was to return to Trinidad for Carnival. It was the happiest time of the year for me and thousands of other Trinidadian expats scattered across the globe. The Trinidad and Tobago Carnival is often said to be the greatest show on earth. French settlers came to Trinidad following the settler population in 1783, and they introduced Carnival. That's what it said. Travel is education, and Carnival is a cultural experience. That was my justification for Tiffany's missing school. Nobody could teach you that kind of culture in the classroom. You'll easily catch up with work, I reassured her. My goal was to always get a costume and participate in the parade, because I couldn't come home so far and just watch mass. That's what I used to say. It's best if I didn't come. If I wasn't playing mass, I wasn't watching. And that year, in 2006, Tiffany also had a chance to play mass in the Children's Carnival. So she played mass with the Trinity Junior School Children's Band. We had a friend, Donna, from California visiting that year. And then our friend Mary from Canada was also visiting. Now she was from West Africa, so it was her first time to the Caribbean, and first time for Trinidad Carnival. So we had quite a few foreign friends visiting that year. Also, that year, Colette was visiting and didn't know that we were coming in from Ireland. So Mary and I drove to the airport to collect Colette in my mother's car. Since Colette didn't know I would be there, it was a wonderful surprise we had planned. As Colette emerged from the customs area, I sent Mary forward to meet her while I hid behind a pillar. Colette was surprised to see Mary only and asked if she had come to the airport with our mother, because at that time my mother was still driving. Mary smiled sweetly and led her to the area where I was standing behind a pillar. "Boo! Welcome home," I screamed as she came close to where I was hiding. "Happy Carnival!" we shouted and screamed. "You said you weren't going to be here," she told me. We both screamed and onlookers laughed with delight. Trinidadians never missed a moment to Mako. What's Mako? For all the Trinis out there, what is Mako? People watch you having a nice conversation with friends, and they would be in the mix as well. Everyone enjoyed other people's lives and antics. During the drive to Digger Martin, we planned our exciting week of activities. We didn't want to miss anything. It cost thousands to be there, and every minute had to count. Our ambitious carnival week consisted of the following: visits to several panyards on the Wednesday night, and dancing all day at Celibia Estate All-Inclusive Carnival Fete on Thursday. Carnival Friday would see us downtown Port of Spain to witness the long-time Carnival Parade, Soca at the Central Bank Courtyard, and Soca Monarch competition in the National Stadium at night. Carnival Saturday, we plan to go to the all-day Children's Carnival Parade, and at night to the North Stand for Panorama Finals. That was the steel pan music competition, listening to the sweet strains of pan. In the wee hours of Carnival Sunday, 4 a.m. to be precise, we planned to attend Sunnyside a breakfast party on Palm Avenue in Petit Valley. Then on Carnival Sunday afternoon, we would host family and friends for a carnival lime with food and drinks at my mother's house. Later, we would check out the Dimanche Gras show on TV and take a rest for the 4 a.m. departure on Carnival Monday for Dreevay celebrations in Woodbrook and St. James. After Dreevay, we planned to wash away the mud and paint in Macquarie Beach, taking a short rest, and then heading into Port of Spain for the Monday Carnival Parade of Bands. Tuesday, we would wake up just before daybreak to prepare for a full day of dancing in the streets in pretty mask costumes for the Carnival Parade of Bands. On Ash Wednesday, Tiffany and I were to fly out bright and early back to Ireland. This was when the mass exodus of expats began from Carnival City. The schedule was daunting to say the least, but we were up for the challenge. As expats, we felt obliged to extract every ounce of Trinidadian food and fun before returning to our respective homes. Now, did you all hear the carnival schedule? What do you think about that? How many people have experienced going to events day and night, night and day like that? Wasn't that something? And we managed to achieve it too. Let me hear some of you put in the comment box what you did when you came to Trinidad for Carnival. Let me hear what you did. We're going to play Band of the Year, which was popular in 2006. So when I got this, oh no, this costume is from another year, probably 2010. Band of the Year. All right, everybody, come on, take a little trip. We're talking about Carnival. Carnival. Everybody, come on, hands in the air. Jump up to the festival, everybody. Come on, hands in the air, everybody. Up in the air, hands in the air. Band of the year, band of the year. Yes, Colette, I'm going to read that now. Hands in the air, everybody, hands in the air. Hands in the air. All right, shake out those shoulders. Come on, shake the shoulders out. Band of the year, band of the year. All right. Okay. So, wasn't that fun? Band of the year. Now, Magnus said, oh, he didn't return to Trinidad for Carnival. Okay. We always used to go to run away from winter too, you know, middle of February. It was good to get away. Now, I'm going to, I might take off my headpiece so that it doesn't fall off. But I kept all my costumes from Carnival in a lovely box. I'm going to read about our Carnival Thursday adventure. We plan to attend Michael Headley's all-inclusive Carnival Fete at his estate, Playa del Este in Celebia. In 2006, the idea of a party which included all the food you could eat and everything you could possibly drink was a novelty for us. We thought the ticket price of $600 TT was hefty at that time. Why should we spend so much for one event? I can't understand it, we said. Well, this is the new wave of parties and anybody who's anybody will be there. The whole New York crew was going. Joan and her friends had hired a maxi taxi to take all of them up and bring them back home. Well, I guess if they could drink as much as they wanted, they would do well at an all-inclusive fete. I was not a big drinker, but I'm a big eater, so I couldn't wait to see what food they had. Colette was able to buy tickets through a friend of a friend of a friend. However, we were missing just one ticket, which we were supposed to get from another friend of a friend of a friend outside the fete. I wasn't sure you'd be in Trinidad, so I didn't order a ticket for you, she told me, which was true. I did surprise her. Getting tickets to special parties in Trinidad was as much a science as anything taught in schools. In order to keep an event exclusive, one had to create the perception that tickets were difficult to get. This was said to keep out the Mab and Rab, who could not behave appropriately. The scarcity also created a feeling of great importance in those who eventually nabbed tickets. I was curious to see who the special people would be at this fete. It started on a Thursday morning, so the average working person would not necessarily be available to party during the daytime. This meant the party was going to be filled with Trini expats like us, escaping winter to prance in the sun for a few days. My mother generously lent us her car for the day. I think it was because my friend Mary was visiting from Canada. She was feeling extra generous. Be careful with my car. Look out for the bandits. Lock it up properly, she warned as we left home. My mother had this car since the 1990s. One could tell by the license plate that it was an old car. However, it wasn't ragadang, and it still ran with the odd occasion for serious repairs. We put on our trendy clothes and headed out to the special party. The organizer had a grand hotel with a swimming pool and large grounds. That's why we were going out there, said Colette. We drove and drove on Churchill Roosevelt Highway. Then we came to the end of the highway, and then it turned into a large main road. Then we went past housing estates, and then bypassing a Rima, a sign said Totoko. That was the direction we were heading, northeast. We drove along Eastern Main Road for a long time, then along Valencia Road, which joined Toco Road. This part of Trinidad had agricultural estates, cocoa trees and forests could be seen along the way. And we continued and drove even further on rural roads, and I wondered if we would ever get to that party. My Californian friend Donna was at the event. She promised to be there with her relatives from Barataria, so we were looking forward to a good line. When we got to the event, We were looking for that friend of a friend to give us that extra ticket. Maybe he's at the gate. Let's go to the gate and ask. We met him finally and got the ticket. Approaching the main entrance, we were greeted by beautiful girls in skimpy shorts and tops serving samples of all sorts of cocktails. Right this way, please, they said. Only trying to drunk us before we even get to the party, we joked. A makeup refresher booth was off to one side for the ladies, and we were given sun hats made of coconut leaves to shade us from the sun. The pathway circled around and we entered a large yard where food and drink tents were erected. Let's scope out all the food, I said. Great idea. So we had to pace ourselves because each tent had different food. There was a wild meat tent, Chinese food, Creole food, Indian food. What more could we eat? We saw bacon, shark, seafood, oysters, souse, grilled meat on skewers, and more. For beer drinkers or cocktail drinkers, the choices were endless. The alcoholic drinks were being served at various booths, including cocktails, and mostly expats were in attendance. The New York crew wore their linen of all colors, white trousers, light-colored Panama hats, and loud jewelry were synonymous with New Yorkers in their 60s and 70s. Now, we would know these people just seeing them from a distance, okay, with linen. The linen crew, we used to call them. There was also the London crew, the Canada crew, and those like me living in other countries, far, far away, all in Trinidad escaping the cold just for a few days, and we all had stories to tell. I started with some seafood, then moved to curry, and the DJ music pounded from the speakers on one side of the grounds. We wandered up and down the hill and then came to a swimming pool. Tables and chairs were scattered around the deck, and a rhythm section entertained with the most infectious dance beats. The scraper, the shack-shack, the iron, drums, and scrubbing board, tok-tok, and other percussion instruments kept a small group chipping around the pool. Chip, 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 chip. So sometimes we didn't even need music, just the percussion was enough for Trinis to enjoy themselves. Oh, hi, Suzanne. Good you could join us. So happy to see you. Right, so this party went on and on. Eat, drink, dance, eat, drink, dance some more. And that's how it went for hours and hours. So I'll tell you at the end what happened. We limped with our tired feet to our car, which mercifully was not too far from the main entrance. I turned the ignition and got directed out of the car park by security guards who stopped oncoming traffic. As we drove through a lonely stretch on Valencia Road, the forest seemed to enclose on us from all sides. Then suddenly the car engine coughed. It coughed again, and this time the wheels of the car slowed down until the car came to a complete stop. We all gasped. I tried turning the key in the ignition, but to no avail, the car would not start. What were we going to do? We were in the middle of nowhere. That car was supposed to be working. Was the long drive out to Serbia too much for Gloria's little old car? Luckily, we had stopped at the side of the roadway. I snapped the knob to open the car bonnet, and we all came out to investigate. We looked at the engine in the semi-darkness and tried to make sense of what we were seeing. Eventually, a car full of drunken merrymakers passed and tooted their horn. "All all right?" they yelled. Yes, sure, no problem," I said, a bit worried about accepting help from strangers. We had heard many nightmarish stories of people being dragged off into the bushes and killed. So those people drove on. However, it became apparent that we did not know how to fix a car. We thus decided to accept help from any almost sober party people who stopped to help us. Eventually, 2 men passed and they parked in front of our car. "All you all right?" one of them asked. "No, boy. We have no idea what went wrong with this car. they all said in unison. Poor Mary, who was visiting from Canada and being lost in the bush on Valencia Road, must have been frightened out of her mind. It might be the battery. I think I have jumper cables. Let me see, said one man. One of the men went to look for the jumper cables, and the other one tinkered with the engine and the battery poles. When traffic was clear, they turned their car around to face us and attempted to jump start the car. As I turned the key in the ignition, nothing happened. The engine had died. Well, said one man, it's getting real dark, and just now we wouldn't be able to see anything. I could tow you to a mechanic in Valencia, he said. We agreed, and he hooked up some belts to tow us. I was given instructions to keep the car in neutral, no brakes or hand gear up, and the wheel just spun as we were towed to Valencia. That was the way we traveled out of the bush to the small town of Valencia on Eastern Main Road. We spotted a sign that said mechanic. We thanked the men sincerely and they went on their way. Finding the mechanic, however, was not a straightforward process. Even though there was a light at the house in the backyard, he must have wandered off visiting a shop in the neighborhood. We had to call at several neighbors until somebody informed us where he was liming or hanging out. By the time we found him, it was pitch black that night. Mr. Mechanic had a small light he stretched out to the front yard. However, he said he couldn't see anything, so we'd have to wait until daylight to figure out what was wrong with the car. Leave it here and call me in the morning, he said. We wrote his telephone number down and left the car keys with him to return the next day. Do you know how we got back to Diamond Vale Diego Martin from Valencia? Anybody could guess. We were in the middle of nowhere. And my poor friend from Canada was at her wit's end with fear. We had to take a taxi from Valencia to Arima, and then a maxi taxi from Arima to Port of Spain, and then from Port of Spain take another maxi taxi to Diego Martin. 3 taxis, okay, 3. So by the time we got home, it was after 10, and we didn't have Gloria's car. So you can imagine what happened. You can imagine what happened with the lady not seeing her car and us coming home so late. So that was quite an adventure. If you want to know more, you have to get your copy of Dreevay to find out about the adventures and what happened with the car story. So let's play a little sound here now. Let's see, what do we have? Let's try a little Bunjigalin again. Differentology. Let's go with bungee again. Let's see.
Get up. The girl them a wine non-stop. We have the drinks them in a my cup. We gonna party all night, all night. 24 parties we hit in a
All right, come on everybody. Take a sip.
Before we ever on the road.
Take a little sip. Carnival sip.
Everybody know, put your hands up so. If you're ready for the road, let your friend them know.
We're ready for the road.
We're ready for the road. So we're ready.
We're ready.
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready. 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 Yeah, we're ready.
Come on.
We're ready.
Hands in the air, everybody.
The girl them a wait all week. Figure up on the road like free. The music full of applause with thousands of chipping feet. Everywhere you look is just food, and everybody in a real nice mood. gonna party all night, all night. Everyone with painted body, clean credit and tainted money. Nobody want to dance by themselves. Everybody wanna dance on somebody. Well, let me see your hands up, so.
Hands up, everybody.
If you're ready for the road, let your friend them know.
We ready for the road. Who's ready for the road? Come on.
We're ready for the road.
All right, who's ready for the road? Come on.
We're ready.
We ready. We're ready. We're ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
All right.
We're ready. We're ready. We're ready.
We're ready.
We're ready. We're ready. Yeah, we're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready.
Okay. Now, what's that? I suspect that that glass has apple juice. You suspect very wrong. Well, I'm not much of a drinker, but I did pour a little rum punch here at the end of my Angostura rum punch, which I will sip very slowly because I can't drink at all. Now, since we're in the carnival spirit, I'm going to read what happened to us when we went to the Soca Monarch, because if we'd like to go to Soca Monarch, it used to be in the stadium back in those days. And because my mother's car was being repaired, we had to get a rental car. So, and that rental car was through a friend's friend, so it wasn't a rental car company. It was just a car, okay? You know, a car that somebody is renting for carnival. For all the visitors that come in, there's always somebody who knows somebody who's renting a car. So I'll tell you about some of the adventures. We boarded the rental car and headed for the stadium. When we got to the area, there was traffic everywhere. In addition, every nook and cranny of free parking was already taken. We should have really left home sooner and had no idea where to park. I noticed an empty spot on the curb at the corner near the stadium and suggested to Colette and Donna that we mount the curb and park the car right there. No thief would ever think of removing our car from there, I challenge. It's under a big bright light. We have nothing to worry about. We parked and we hustled happily to the gates to check in. There were several security checkpoints, looking in bags and pockets for weapons. What are they expecting? War? I asked. I guess it was better to be safe than sorry, with thousands of people in attendance. We spied parking on the stadium grounds, however. When I asked a security guard who parked in the stadium, he said it was reserved for patrons who had VIP tickets. So, you know, you've heard of VIP. In Trinidad, there's VVIP, VVIP for the very, very, very important people, because Trinidadians like to go a step above, okay? So the parking in the stadium grounds was for those who had VVIP tickets. Trinidadians were obsessed with class and social climbing. Everyone wanted to feel superior. What did VVIP mean? In all my life, I had only heard of a VIP section. VVIP meant very, very important people. I wondered how much the VVIPs paid for their tickets and what sort of food and drinks they would be given. In the end, the performers were on the big stage far from everyone, unless you were prepared to go down in the middle of the field to be close to the stage. I imagine VVIPs would not dare mix with the masses on the field. We entered the stadium with our general tickets and found that we did not have to stand all night. We were free to retreat to the general stands and sit and rest sometimes for the price of 200 Trinidad dollars that year. So that was in 2006. We were entitled to soft drinks and beers, but the lines were very long and disorganized. However, Mary managed to push her way through some crowds to get bottles of water and soft drinks. She was good at this. and even spotted people giving away party favors and large flags and cups. We pranced on the field for a while, and when we got tired, we went back and we sat in the stands. The competition went on for the remaining groovy soca performers. By the time the power soca competition came up, the field was crowded and the masses were dancing wild and wassy. I examined some of the women's outfits, which were so revealing they resembled exotic nightwear, or maybe I was getting too old to be hip. We decided to just dance on the sidelines to avoid being crushed. The party went on, and we were wary but determined to wait for some of the big-name performers who were scheduled to sing near the end of the program. By 3 a.m., however, it was too much, and we dragged our weary bodies slowly out of the stadium. A few people had started walking out too, but thousands were still jumping to the sky on the field as the loud sound of soca reigned. Flags waved from side to side. People waved rags and scarves, and confetti filled the air during some performances. Fireworks lit up the sky as some of the big names in the music world whipped the crowd into a frenzy. It was hard to leave while the party was still swinging. As we approached the corner where we had parked, there was nothing on the curb. "Are you sure this is where we parked?" I asked Colette. "Well, I think so," she said. "Let's go to the other corner just in case." We walked to the other corner and it was dark. So it was definitely not where we had parked. Where the hell did the people rent our car? You see, you make me park in a bad space. Somebody stole Idris's car. We were numb for almost 5 minutes trying to figure out what to do next. By then, most of the patrons were leaving the fete as things were winding down. Hundreds of people passed us on their way home. We didn't know if to look for a taxi to go home, but then we would never get one, not with that big crowd. A policeman was passing and we told him we had parked on the curb and we couldn't find our car. He said the wrecker take that car for sure. And with that, he was gone. Well, if the wrecker had taken the car, at least it was better than if it was stolen. All we had to do was find the correct police yard where the car was stored, pay the fees, and get the car back. The problem was that we had no way to get around. We decided to beg a man who was passing to use his cell phone to call our father. Imagine grown women calling their elderly sick father to rescue them from trouble in the wee hours of the morning. "Daddy, the wrecker take the rental car. Can you come to meet us, please?" We have to find out where they took the car. Poor Daddy had been suffering from cancer, but he loved his daughters dearly. So sick or not, he was coming out to help us. We arranged to wait on Ryson Road away from the big crowds, and Pops and his partner left home, and by 4:30 a.m. they were there to pick us up. He suggested we check the Woodbrook police station on Baden-Powell Street to see if the vehicle was towed there. When we drove over to Baden-Powell Street, the place was locked tightly. A security guard nearby suggested that all the cars were towed from their yard up to St. James Barracks, so we were better off going up there. So we drove up to the St. James Barracks, went to the wooden booth where a policeman sat at a desk with a large ledger and other papers. "Officer, we think our vehicle was towed here tonight. We parked near the stadium." "Oh, really?" he said. "What kind of car was it?" "Well, it was a white car," I said. "Well, actually, no, it was kind of cream," said Colette. "What was the make and model?" asked the policeman. I had never taken time to even see what kind of car we were driving. All we knew is that we had a rental car and we went to the party. Was it a Mazda or a Nissan? It could have been anything. All I knew was that it was a small kind of whitish car. That's all I remembered. It had 4 doors. Colette, did you get the details from the car rental company? I asked her. She looked at me with an annoyed face. What was I asking? It was not a real car rental company. It was just a friend of a friend, just a man renting a car out. He was renting out random cars for money. So can you imagine? It was sad, but it was funny. We didn't even know what we were driving, and we had no documents. The officer looked at his ledger. Then he said he remembered a small whitish car coming in the yard from Woodbrook about 2 hours before. But it had been towed to the Beetham police station. So can you imagine? It went from Baden-Powell Street up to St. James, and then from St. James, the car was towed to the Beetham police station. When he described the make and the license plate, we were convinced it was our car. Yes, that's the one, we said in chorus. And the officer chuckled at the crazy women who had a car but knew nothing about it. Let's go to Beetham. We all piled into Daddy's car again, and we were off to the Beetham police station, which was near to the Central Market. That area of the city had a bad reputation for crime. It was not a place we wanted to be in the wee hours of the morning. However, we had to get back the people's rental car, and we needed a car to accomplish our ambitious carnival party schedule yet to come. When we got to the Beetham police station, I was completely weak and tired and could barely stay awake. We found a parking spot in the police yard and filed out to make our inquiry about a missing car. The officer on duty asked for details of the car. Luckily, we had learned all the details from the policeman in St. James Barracks. We were actually able to sound intelligent in our description of the missing car. No problem, said the officer. Please show me your driver's license and pay the fine, and I will release the car. It sounded simple enough, except none of us had a driver's license to show. We didn't take anything with us because we didn't want to lose it at the stadium during Sukamonak. We may have had driver's permits from the US or Ireland, but we never walked with valuables when going to a big party for fear of losing everything in the madness. As we sat bedraggled with makeup and sweat running from our painted faces from dancing too vigorously the night before, we laughed. What else could go wrong? We looked like some old prostitutes sitting on the wooden bench in the most notorious police station in the city as we watched the early morning sun rise in the distance. I went out to my father, who was sitting in his car, and I said, Daddy, would you mind showing your driver's license? We have nothing to show to get back the rental car. He let out a loud shoops. All your good, yes? He came in to the rescue again, including paying the fine to release the car because we had very little money left after the night's festivities. I promised to pay him back right away. It was a night to remember. So what do you all think of that? Stressing our poor sick father, making him come out in the wee hours of the morning to rescue us. We didn't have driver's license, didn't have any cash left. We didn't even know what kind of car we were driving. Wasn't that something? What a crazy night it was. And when we left there, the sun was rising. But that's right, we had lots of stories to tell, you see. So coming home to Trinidad, it's always an adventure, right? Let's play another one. Let's see what we have here. Tell me what you all think of that story. Anybody? Let's play a funny one here. Let's hear what people think of that story. Having to call Daddy.
I don't
Wow. Saucy baby. All right. Everybody take a little chip. So that Dreevay, a Trini Expat comes home. So if you want to hear about some more crazy stories, get your copy of Dreevay. I'll put the link in the box. Saucy baby, I want you put it on me. Oh, saucy baby. Saucy baby, I want you put it on me. All right, everybody take a dance. Hands in the air. Hands in the air. All right, take a dance, everybody. So that brings us to the end of the presentation tonight. You just take a little trip and you can, if you belong to a book club, I can read for your book club sometime. So anybody on the call here who belongs to a book club, just contact me and I will read for your book club. Hope you enjoyed the presentation tonight. And thanks so much for coming. Thank you, everybody. I'll just play another song. Let's see. What's another favorite? Let's see. What else can we play tonight to send us home tripping? How about Alison Hines? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Paluma ding ding ding. Do you remember this? How many remember this one? Paluma.
Get ready to wine! Get ready to wine! Paluma ding ding ding.
All right, so Paluma for the grand finale. Take a little dance, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. Mama, yeah, yeah. Shake up the shoulders, hands in the air. Mama, yeah, yeah. Ding, ding, ding. Saluma. Saluma. Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.